Okay, here we go.
Hello from Hawaii.
And some people think it doesn't rain in paradise. Whew. I love these days. Reminds me of growing up on the windward side, playing golf in the rain. Whew, those are the best days. And being a busy dad, well, sometimes I just gotta go film whenever I can. So I thought I'd take the time today on this very rainy day. It's probably gonna be rainy all day. But I thought I'd take the time to go ahead and answer 3 of those online questions about Hawaii that I think are pretty interesting. So let's get started. Definitely gonna have to keep the lens clean on this one. Okay, first question. Best places to park, eat, and enjoy the view. So I'm gonna run through these as quick as I can. I think if you're a local, you pretty much know about these places, but if you're not a local, then you might wanna check out these places if you got the time. First place I'd recommend is Tantalus. Beautiful view, kinda near town, so you don't have to go very far. But I will say that you might wanna be careful with your car. You're gonna wanna make sure that you lock up your stuff so that there's no potential break-ins. Second place I highly recommend is Kaka'ako Waterfront Park. You can park there if you go by Point Panic. You can actually sit in your car and just look out at the beach. If not, you can get out of your car. You can sit on some of the nice hills or some of the nice benches and tables that they got there. I think it's very underutilized. Since they moved a lot of the homeless people out of that area, it's actually improved quite a bit. Got the big bus going here. Waimanalo Beach Park. Or more specifically, if you can swing it, Sherwoods. Beautiful view of the ocean. It's not that crowded, although it depends on what time you go. I just think it's very nice. The trees, it's a different kind of tree. It's like all little pine needles, and one of the best spots that I think you could go to if you're looking to just eat lunch and relax. My fourth recommendation would be Kualoa Beach Park. And I know, total homer there. That's one of the parks that are close to where I grew up, so of course I'm gonna recommend that. Beautiful view of Chinaman's Hat, lots of space, bathrooms, showers if you need it. I think what's actually quite underrated about Kualoa Beach Park is there's the view of the ocean, but then if you just turn around, not here, but if you just turn around, actually you get a lot of beautiful scenery of the Green Mountains, and I think that's very much underappreciated. And my last recommendation, it's kind of a secret spot, although not really if you look online. It's called Christmas Tree Park, but I think the official name is Pu'u'o Kaimuki Park. It's an interesting park because you park on the street and you walk up this little hill and you're kind of like in a neighborhood. But the view is absolutely beautiful. You get a really nice view of downtown as well as a nice view of the east side towards Hawaii Kai. We went there for the first time this past year. I had seen the little Christmas tree setup they have up there, but I didn't know what that was. But I'm glad that we stopped by and we just took some pictures, we drank some Jamba juice, and it was just a very relaxing time. Okay, second question. Does anyone miss the good old days? I think yes and no, and I'm just gonna speak freely here as someone who was born and raised here, who grew up here, and now in my late 30s, almost entering 40s, my perspective on life here in Hawaii has changed quite a bit, as I'm sure it does for people who just happen to live here in Hawaii for a very long time. I truly believe growing up in Hawaii is a very special thing. If you've grown up in Hawaii, you've had that wonderful privilege and maybe you didn't even realize it at the time because that's just how it is, right? You don't even realize how amazing it is until maybe you've grown up or you're forced to move away and then you can see, oh wow, yeah, it was actually quite special. And I think when we talk about the good old days, we have to be a little more specific about what that means. I feel like I'm very fortunate to have grown up in Hawaii in the 80s and 90s. Just in general as a generation, I think that time in the US was just a very special time. But growing up in Hawaii during that time, to me, was just a lot of fun. You just had a lot more local things going on. It wasn't as global or wasn't as national, so your network was primarily just the people that you grew up with, the people on your street or the people that you went to school with. And of course at the time it just seemed like families were bigger. My family Christmas party that we have every year, back then it seemed like there were 70 plus people who would attend. And I think it's because my grandma's age, they had a lot more siblings, so my great aunts and great uncles, they numbered, 10 per family. Nowadays, most of them are gone, and that group of aunties and uncles, well, it's smaller. It's four that are sort of leading the charge here with the family parties. You know, with the cost of living, the families are just getting a whole lot smaller here. And so I do miss those big family gatherings. We still have them and I'm really thankful for them. But I do miss how fun they were because there were so many people that I wouldn't see for most of the year, but when we would reconnect, you know, they give me Christmas money in the red envelope or New Year's money, or just talk story, play ukulele, just have a good laugh. And those are the things that are part of the good old days that, for me, I miss. I also recognize that I'm an adult now, so things are different. I have a lot more responsibilities, and my kids get to enjoy childhood. They don't have to worry about the mortgage, they don't have to worry about work or health care, anything like that. Those are my responsibilities, and they just have to grow up and be kids. And that's the wonderful part about the good old days, I think, is you don't have to worry about all those things. I do believe Hawaii is changing though, but I don't know if it's necessarily as bad as people think it is. Because let's not kid ourselves either. Back in the 80s and 90s, things weren't all that perfect. I mean, maybe we look back and we miss those days fondly, but that's just part of nostalgia. But I don't think they were all perfect. I think if you look at some of the drugs or some of the crime, even the cost of living, a lot of the problems that we're facing today, we were facing back then in the 80s and 90s, and heck, even the 50s and 60s. The problems haven't gone away. Those same problems keep lingering in Hawaii, and I don't know how exactly we're gonna solve them. And so, do I miss the good old days? Sure, sometimes. But I also have to remember that I can't go back. This is my life now. I'm growing up. I can't just be perpetually 10 years old as if I'm Peter Pan and Hawaii is my Neverland. You gotta grow up, get a job, and you have a family, you start paying bills, you take on more responsibilities. That's just part of the growing up experience, and I'm thankful that I've been able to do that. I'm glad my parents prepared me to take on those responsibilities, even if they're not easy. But I do look back on those good old days fondly, especially with my grandparents who are no longer here. Those were some good old days. I go to their house in the morning, bacon, rice, spam, sit on the couch, watch TV, go play, maybe take a nap. My parents pick me up, have dinner, and go home and do it again. I do miss those times sometimes, but mostly I just miss their presence, their conversation. I miss them being here, the sound of their voice. Those are the things that, to me, good old days. I trade the rest of the social and economic, political stuff that was going on back then for just those small, quiet moments. And what that reminds me is that these days right now will become the good old days for my boys one day. And I hope that when they look back, they are thankful for the time that they had with me and my wife, with my parents, with her parents, because you never get those back. And again, we love talking about family here in Hawaii, Ohana. That's so important to Hawaii. Oh my gosh, look at the traffic. Bad time for construction. All right, last question. What do you do to stay cool in Hawaii? Okay, this is a good one because despite what the weather is like now, it does get pretty hot and there are days when, whew, bruh, gotta go outside, gotta go get some shave ice. Now maybe if you're fortunate like some other families, you grew up with air conditioning and so you could just blast the AC anytime you like. Better yet, if you had air conditioning plus now you get solar panels, whew, you got it made. But not everybody gets AC and solar panels. So I grew up and all we had was jealousy windows and fans. So what we would do to stay cool is we turn on the fans and we let the house kind of air out, and hopefully by the time you go sleep, it's nice and cool. And if that didn't work, you could always drink cold water, take cold showers. And I even bought a shave ice machine because some days, especially after work, when I was so hot, just a long drive, long day, I had to have a shave ice. And so I just made myself a little shave ice bowl, and whew, man, I miss those times. I think they're trying to install one of those raised crosswalks. Whew. Man, those things are tough. On the look of it, it doesn't look that high, so maybe it won't be so bad. Yeah, it's actually quite flat. Now these days we do have air conditioning in our condo, as well as my parents they have AC as well as solar panels, so they can run AC as much as they want. I don't take it for granted because of how I grew up. But very important to stay hydrated, drink water, and yeah, try to find cheaper ways to stay cool. So I hope you enjoyed those answers. Let me know what you think in the comments below. It's probably gonna be a very wet day, but gosh, I love these days. I love walking around. My wife doesn't like the rain, so if I gotta do this, I gotta do this by myself, but I love it. It's quiet, not a lot of people out. If I wanna film like this, I can, although gotta bring the waterproof camera. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and aloha.
Hello